Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where Rev Briz and Rev Z and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the New Thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Ministers Talking Shit. I am so happy to be here with you today and glad that you are here. My cohort in spirit, Reverend Briz, is taking a day off to get himself back from Moab. He had a little trip over there for the holiday season to visit family, and so just ask you to keep him in his prayers as he travels back and everything. And I'm glad you're here with me. So first and foremost, happy post-Thanksgiving. I trust everyone had a great holiday yesterday and spent it with family and friends and just getting themselves in the mood, as the song goes, for the new year, for the rest of the holiday season, and to begin to think about how we are going to make life even better in 2022. I like the way that sounds, 2022. It has a nice ring to it. And so today there's a couple of stories that I wanted to talk about. First and foremost was, as you know, most of you, the Ahmaud Arbery trial came to a conclusion, and they found all three defendants guilty of the various charges that they were attacked with. And it was pleasant, if you will, to see that the almost all white jury, there was 11 white and one black juror, and it took them right around 12 hours, I think it was 11 hours, for them to deliberate on the information provided and come back with the guilty verdict. And so, it's been a lot said about that. There was a lot of trepidations about that going into the trial itself, about how will the jurors work, and the jury makeup did not necessarily match the number of or the percentage of African Americans in that community. But we did see an almost all white jury come back with the verdict that was pretty crystal clear, I think, to everybody. When you have a person who's out running, they did not even have ID, no backpack. So there's nothing for that person to steal anything, although they said he was burglarizing something, and I'm not sure where he was going to put whatever he burglarized. But it's good to see that the Spirit is still working in terms of presenting justice when people take the law into their own hands. And that's exactly what happened to Ahmaud Arbery, 25-year-old young man, his whole life ahead of him, out running, trying to, keep in shape, whatever, have fun, release, whatever, and he gets killed. And so a vast difference from the case with Kyle Rittenhouse that was just a week ago. And some of you may have seen Kyle has now hit the circuit. He's been on Fox with Tucker Carlson, and he's been down to see Trump, and Trump gave him praise, and shame to say, Marjorie Taylor Greene has asked for him to get the Congressional Medal. I'm like, are you kidding me? We know we have gone far, far astray when we have congressmen or congresspersons, congresswoman, advocating for someone who's killed 2 people and wounded another to get a congressional medal for almost starting, you know, World War III within the country. And so I'm a little perplexed that someone doesn't censor her with her rhetoric in terms of how we should look at what justice is and all of that. And you know, part of Thanksgiving, I think, is this whole idea of being grateful. And so when we look at these cases, we also heard last week there were 2 cases where men had been in prison. We had the men that were in prison for Malcolm's X killing, who were exonerated. There were 2 other cases where 2 men had been in jail for like 20, 30 years for a crime that they didn't commit. They were released. And we're beginning to see this, I won't say too often, because it's great for these people to get their just due in court and be freed and so forth. But we're seeing too many of these cases in the sense that they shouldn't even happen. And especially, you know, it was one, the young man was 18 when he went to prison, and he was in there, he was 60, I think it was, when he got out. Now that's entirely, you know, his whole life has been changed and deprived forever. There's no way for him to get back 50 years. There's no amount of money they can pay. He never got a chance to get a career, to get a family, to, you know, all those kinds of things that life is full of and that we look forward to as we navigate this thing called life. So bad situation. And then sadly, so some of you may have seen this week, Malcolm's ex-daughter passed away. You know, a few days after the 2 men had been exonerated from killing her father. And so that was sad to me that, you know, that she passed away young. She was only 56, I think. So young lady, young woman rather, and it wasn't what we wanted to hear. It wasn't what I wanted to hear. I don't speak for no one else. It wasn't what I wanted to hear. But you know, again, just looking at how her life was changed. She wasn't even born. If I remember correctly, her mother was pregnant with her and her twin sister when Brother Malcolm got killed. So, you know, hopefully 2022 will give us some great momentum. Right now, we got some momentum going. Hope we can continue that momentum into the new year to begin to constitute, if you will, the legal proceedings and system and justice of how people are tried and convicted and sentenced. And if something has been withheld or, you know, done wrong, let's fix it. Excuse me, let's fix it. So, and that, you know, in terms of celebration, this is a tidbit story. Some of you may have heard this. There was a high school football team, and I see if Robert was here, he'll be saying he's not a football fan, but he would love this football story. There's a high school football team in California that went undefeated, 11-0, and they are deaf. The whole team is deaf, and they use American Sign Language to communicate and call the plays and so forth. And I just saw it flash across. I haven't had a chance to dig into that and see what that is or what happened. But they went 11-0. First time, I think, in the school history, it was saying. And I just wanted to mention that because I think that's so inspiring and so uplifting to see young men who are deaf and oftentimes put in categories of not being able to do certain things and so forth, but to see them go undefeated and win their division champ. And again, I'm not sure what the makeup was of the other teams they played, whether they were deaf or not, but it really doesn't matter, right? To go undefeated is a feat that is that takes a lot, as we see in any sport, and for the whole team to be deaf and them to go undefeated is even bigger, and so what accomplishment that is, and that is definitely something worth talking about. And I want to say good morning to Linda, who's with us this morning. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Wayne. How's everyone doing? It is a glorious day today, and here's the thing about that undefeated team. When we look at this holiday season of giving thanks and celebration and honoring those of us who are striving to create a world that works for everyone, those kids, those young men are an example for all of us. They did not let their so-called disability to prevent them from going out and being the best that they can be, not looking at those obstacles as obstacles, but as stepping stones, as something to use and provide a modem of uplift that allowed them to be successful. And that's what we're all looking for, no matter what we're doing. The key to it all, the goal of it all, is to be successful in whatever it is you do. So, I think there's a lesson there for everyone, and I intend to go out and really do some research on that story. Maybe next week I'll have a little more detail that I can provide on that whole 11-game season, which is phenomenal to me. Which is phenomenal. Now, as some of you know, this weekend, this holiday is the most traveled holiday season, or it kicks off the season. It's the most traveled weekend of the season. And just in time, I know we got the booster shots, but the numbers of COVID are rising. And people are still being affected and affected by the COVID-19. And I just saw it last night. Didn't have time to do any research on it, but I know there's a new variant that's coming out of South Africa. And it has people in a little bit of a scare. They found this new mutated variants. For those of you who are into the stock market, I don't know what it is when it opens. It should be open now, but the futures or the before the market opened, the futures of how it's going to look, it was down 800 points in the futures market this morning as a result of that variant being presented in and so I'm not sure what that market is going to do today, but I'll tell you, the last thing we need is another variant of anything except a variant of the booster shot to fix things, because it's not what we want, not what we want. And so how are we going to continue to uplift our people and help know that this is real, that this COVID virus is real? And the less we begin to protect ourselves, it gives the virus more room to mutate, because viruses, as some of you may know, are environmental entities. They begin to adapt. And as for those of you who ever watched the cartoon Bebe's Kids, say we don't die, we multiply. And that's what this virus does. It just multiplies, and it keeps splitting and splitting until it can adjust itself to the environment that it finds itself in, meaning it starts adapting to all of our health mechanisms that we use, eating better, the virus shot, the vaccine, it begins to mutate to preserve life. It is a form of life, and its motive is to stay alive. And so we have to begin to make sure that we can fight that we can move beyond this and allow the cohort, the coordinated effort of everybody to not give this virus an opportunity or an environment to survive or to cause such havoc. Europe is about to, just when they open up the borders in Europe for new travel, now the cases over there are up, and they're beginning to think about shutting that down. And I know here in my home state of Colorado, we've gone back to mask mandate. It's mandatory now. When you go in buildings, when you go in different places, to wear your mask. So that is something that during the holiday season is going to put a different play on that. Yeah, and Linda has something here. She says, her sister's an infectious disease doctor, and they were talking yesterday about the bears, and it is nasty. It is nasty. So let's be vigilant. Let's not let our, and it's so easy for us to let our guard down, right? With anything, especially if when we've been fighting this thing for 20 months. It's hard to believe. Pretty soon we're going to be 2 years of COVID affected life. And so it's easy over such a long period of time to get relaxed, to let our guard down, especially when we have a modem of success and we get relaxed. We think, okay, we over the worst of it. And now we can relax. And then the moment we relax, we get things like this. So let's be vigilant still. Let's continue to eat properly. Let's continue to, for those who are inclined, get your vaccine and vaccination and go get the booster. I'm going to get my booster today. People have all kind of ideas and criticisms one way or the other, but been taking vaccines since I was born. And so, and yes, there's a risk when I walk out the door that I don't get hit by a car, but I still go out the house. And so let's continue to protect ourselves, create a world that everybody can participate in and be involved in. So I'd like to know if any of you guys had any interesting Thanksgiving conversations. That has been the traditional time of Thanksgiving dinner, to have all the political and controversial and all of the different types of conversations about the world and the going-ons of it. And so it's quite interesting to find where we are in America. And one thing I want to bring up before we close, well, I guess two things. One, for all of you shoppers for the Friday celebration of going and get the gifts, the Black Friday, which I saw something the other day. I didn't see the origin of Black Friday, but I really want to find out how we got that name. But there's a caution out to be very careful, to use only known vendors and sites, so that you don't get tricked into spending your money somewhere where it's not legit. I mean, they said that there's $2 billion worth of fraudulent activity they anticipate during the holidays because of false advertisement by these different sites. And if you haven't ordered anything from Amazon and you get a text or email from Amazon say your package was delivered, then don't do it. And if you did, when you do order, they give you a tracking number and everything. You go to that site and you say check your orders, and you put that order number in so that you don't become a victim. I become a victim of that craziness, and I'm an IT professional, so be careful and keep your eyes on the prize, which is to keep your money in your pocket if it ain't going to the right place. That is for sure. That is for sure. And then I think the other thing that I think is a perfect celebration, if you will, is so far we haven't had a whole lot about gun control. I mean, gun violence during the actual travel time. There've been some cases where the one guy in Atlanta, who's still at large, had a gun he was trying to take to it, went off in Atlanta airport. But the thing that we still have to be vigilant about is this gun control stuff. I mean, just last night here in Colorado, there was another teenager killed, and I don't know if it was a former police officer or an off-duty police officer was shot. Still sketchy about what the circumstances were, but we have to get a control on this gun violence and this untapped availability of gun for young people. Here's a 17-year-old kid, again, just getting started in life, and it's snuffed out. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, that saddens me. That saddens me because I think about the possibilities for that young man. He could have been a doctor. He could have been the first person to, find a cure for cancer or Alzheimer's or who knows. But when we think about the senseless killing of our young people around the country because guns are so easy to get and they're so prevalent, then we have to, we as the song goes, the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. And the question is, what are we teaching them now? What are we teaching them now that that creates such ill will and I don't even know what to call it, where they go out and begin to shoot each other for what appears to be something that's trivial. You got the wrong colors on, or you disrespected me by not speaking to me. I mean, all kinds of different things that are just simple. They just don't make a whole lot of sense to kill somebody for. And so, we have to get a control on this gun violence stuff, because it's beginning to me a lot to sound like the old West, where everybody got a gun, and I can call you out at any time, any place, and then we just go at it. Now, it's not that bad, but you think about it, all these concealed carry permits that people are getting, and we don't even need to talk about the assault rifles. Rifles that are supposed to be used for the military that are now, standard issue to people in the neighborhood to come out and, in a matter of seconds, that thing shoots 40, 50 rounds. Not ideal for for an urban situation or a situation at a school. I mean, we continue to have these shootings at schools. They had 2 shootings here at school in Colorado. We have to stop this. We have to stop this because I mean, imagine kids trying to go to school and be attentive and they don't know where the next shooting is coming from. You know, they don't know when they're going to have the next shelter in place. So that part, we have to begin to create an environment that's, you know, better, that's more suited for I don't know, learning maybe, more suited for having an enjoyable experience in education so that you are motivated and continue to want to learn and want to participate in this educational system that we have. And it has its flaws, but it produced some great folk, you know. And so let's continue to create that environment where they can do that and grow and become, you know, all that they can be. That's what we're hoping for. That's what we're looking for. And so I think, you know, we only got a couple of minutes left on today's show. And like I said, we want to wish Reverend Bridges a safe trip home for him and his family, and trust that him and everyone else has had a great holiday and that we're looking forward to the weekend. We still have 3 days to go to continue to relax and give thanks and to begin. I know it's early for some folk. I know. But begin to thinking about that New Year's approach on life, that new vision for 2022. That 2022 has such a nice ring. Great master number 22, you know. So let's continue to focus there. Let's do some inventory. You know, at the end of the year, they always do the year-end review, and they talk about the different things that have happened, different highlights, different people who've made their transition. So let's get ahead of that, so that in the new year, as opposed to looking at that, let's start looking forward about what we're going to do to change things, what we're going to do to change ourselves or improve ourselves and our neighborhoods and our families and our country and ultimately the globe, so that we can support life. You always hear me say life is prime. Everything else is secondary. And because if we put life as the primary thing that we're here for, all of the other stuff will fall in place to support life that's healthy and uplifting and supportive of each and every one of us. So have a great day. Enjoy all the leftovers. For all you football fans, it starts today. The big games, all the college games will start today, and got a bunch of games over the weekend, and they're going to have all of the bowl selections come. You know, it's going to be great for football fans. And so I trust everyone will enjoy the rest of their time off. Start planning now for that grand 2022 new year. And we'll see you here next week on Ministers Talking Shit. Take care. Peace and blessings.
And thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ministers Talking. We'll be back again next week with more commentary on current affairs, world events, and any other our ministers want to talk about. And if you found value here, please share our with your friends. Until next time, peace and blessings.